episode 4 of the Big at the Back podcast. I'm Tom, I'm joined by Matt, and Matt, we're finally here, the start of the Premier League season.
How has it happened already? It's flown by.
It has, and it feels like I don't really feel quite ready yet. I think my FPL team is in a good place, but we have an awful lot to talk about today. So on our agenda, number 1, transfers, because it's all kicked off overnight. So first, what the hell is going on? But second, how will that impact us on FPL? Then we'll look at our teams right now that are probably 90% locked in. Then we're going to set up a Big at the Back joint team. And then we're going to look at our first bet for the Big at the Back betting funds. Then I have written down we're going to cry. So we may get to that last point. It depends if there's time on the docket.
Oh, there's always time for that, mate. Don't you worry about it. You missed a very important thing off, though. What about my birthday? Where does that fit into the agenda?
Get over yourself. Your birthday's tomorrow. No.
True.
I'm already seeing you on Sunday to drink with you. That's going to be awful enough.
Always gets overshadowed by the opening weekend of the Premier League season. I don't like it. It also got overshadowed by Robin Williams killing himself once. He did that on my birthday.
I mean, that's very sad, but now you've just reminded me of other people dying, such as Darius, and I don't want to do it.
If it makes you feel any better, by the time this podcast's over, I want to kill myself as well.
Good. I'm glad we got that sorted. So, moving swiftly on from the suicide talk, let's talk about transfers and what's happening. So, Matt, why don't you try your best to give an overview of what the hell happened overnight?
Well, just to caveat this, it's Friday morning. So we're recording this on the opening day of the Premier League season as Man City travel to Turf Moor this evening. Yesterday morning, we heard that Spurs had accepted a bid from Bayern Munich for Harry Kane worth in excess of 100 million euros. So we thought, okay, we'll see what happens there. There was back and forth. Does he actually want to go? It's all down to him. Is he going to accept the personal terms? Does he want to stay in the Premier League to break that goal scoring record? Later on in the day, on Thursday, it looked as though he was leaning towards staying and seeing out his contract at Spurs, and then who knows what happens next year. Overnight, we wake up this morning and basically he's on his way to Germany for a medical. So it looks as though Harry Kane is off. He's going to Bayern Munich, which obviously has big impacts on Spurs, the Premier League as a whole, and obviously FPL. But also overnight, there was what seemed to be an eBay-style auction going on for Moises Caicedo, which Tom is very happy about. By all accounts, Brighton basically said, look, you've got until midnight, highest bidder wins. And Chelsea and Liverpool were the ones that were going back and forth. And it looks as though Liverpool have come out on top with about £110 million, which is a British transfer record, which is an insane amount of money. He doesn't even carry an English tax. So the fact that he's going for that much money just shows how highly rated he is. And he's going to be having his Liverpool medical today. So yeah, it's been a crazy night.
Yeah, very much so. And you're right, the Caicedo money is a crazy amount, but it's about the same as Rice. He's 3 years younger. Last season, he was more impressive than Rice. And I just think we're signing a really top quality midfielder who's going to be there for 9-10 years. So I think it's worthwhile. But I'm over the moon. And for Liverpool, Caicedo... Oh, actually, should we start with Kane? Let's start with Kane and the impact that has. Because strictly speaking, FPL podcast. Kane going, obviously, second highest point scorer last year, only 12 behind Haaland. So a real blow for us in FPL, but it does make our teams easier. Now, what it does for Spurs, I think James Maddison becomes less appealing for me. He was a lock in my team, but now that Kane has gone, that's Maddison's main supplyee, if you like. Therefore, Maddison's crosses into the box from that inside channel, I don't think are going to be as well received. However, the person it does really open things up for is Richarlison, who's going to be playing in that up-front spot. When Kane didn't play there in pre-season, Richarlison scored hat-tricks. I think he's a lock in my team now.
Yeah, same for me. I did have Richarlison in sort of this time last week. Then it looked like Kane was going to stay, and I went for Maddison, and now that's gone straight back to Richarlison. So it just does seem to make sense. The other person it also has a big impact on, and we haven't spoken about him much because he's not in a lot of teams, is Heung-min Son. And obviously the relationship that Son and Kane have had over the last sort of 5-6 years, it's been almost telepathic. So it's going to have a big impact on his game. And it'll be interesting to see how he comes out in the wash of this one as well.
Yeah, with Son though, in Postecoglou ball, I'm going to say it every time, system, the wingers have to stay super wide so the midfielders can come inside. So if you look at where Son is crossing the ball from, yeah, you should be sorry. If you look at where Son is crossing the ball from, it's basically right by the touchline. And Son isn't even on corners anymore. Maddison's on corners. So I think despite, even if Harry Kane was there, Son is just a complete non-starter for me in FPL this year. I think he's playing too far wide. If you look at Kulusevski, for example, he's used to playing in those wide positions and can do it. Heung-min Son has never been that far wide and that far away from the centre of the pitch. So I think he's going to really struggle this season.
Yeah, I completely agree. It really has sort of thrown us through a loop. This is not what we needed on the morning of the start of the Premier League.
This is exactly what we needed because it's chaos.
Yeah, true. It is going to really just mess with people's psyches going into the deadline tonight. Hopefully it will make things more interesting. But I feel like Kane, although obviously the points were there, I feel like he was slightly under-owned just because people were worried about the move and Price and Haaland and all that sort of stuff. It just means there's one fewer option in the forward slots, which are severely lacking at the moment anyway.
Yeah, for sure. A shout out while we're here, though, to our good friend, Mr. Daniel Brakey, who on our draft yesterday was late and then got auto-picked as the first draft pick, or the second draft pick, Harry Kane. And then I don't know what squad he ended up with, but it was like Harry Kane. Was Lukaku in there as well? It was just...
No, James took Lukaku for some reason. He's got Kane. He's got Ivan Toney.
Oh, hasn't he got another forward that's not going to be there or something?
Yeah, I need to find it. It's Mitrovic.
Oh, Mitrovic is going to be there at the start of the season. But yeah, like that was...
Yeah, whether he plays or not is a different matter.
Now, I've got a lot to say about Caicedo and what it means for us in FPL. So would you like me to kick it off, or do you think it would be better if you...
Be my guest.
Okay. Caicedo in FPL. First, the perfect signing for Liverpool. He played some games at right back and was very good for Brighton last season, which means when Trent just wanders into midfield, Caicedo is the perfect guy to drop and cover him. It also means that Liverpool have someone who's a really, really capable and world-class ball winner, which means McAllister and Szoboszlai can push and move on further forward. So it has two or three players that are really going to benefit from this. First is Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's going to have a lot more cover behind him, therefore a lot more ability to dictate when on the ball and to push forward when on the ball. So Trent is going to be automatically a much better pick than he was, and Caicedo ups the potential for clean sheets as well for Liverpool. So Trent goes from being really unappealing in my mind yesterday to really appealing on FPL now. Now, for me, I am quite set on my team, so I think I'm going to wait and see with Trent Alexander-Arnold. But come first wildcard or come game week 3, when we all have 2 free transfers and can take a -4, I may move things around to bring in Trent. So that's the first thought. The second thought is whoever ends up playing in that up front position. Now, it could be Darwin, it could be Jota, but essentially when Liverpool are on the ball, the midfield three is going to be McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Trent, with Caicedo dropping in. Now, with that midfield behind you, and you've got Salah and Diaz on the wings, whoever's in that forward spot is going to get a hatful of goals, and will probably, if one of them nails it down, they'll probably be the second highest goal scorer in the Premier League after Erling Haaland. So that's number 2. If it's Darwin or if it's Jota, one of them will really, really do well from this. And the third is Mo Salah. He won't have to cover Trent as much and drop back as much, so he'll be able to stay forward. And Mo Salah will do what Mo Salah does.
Will be rubbish.
You keep going with no Salah. Tell me how that works out.
I will. Don't you worry. Yeah, I don't think there's much more I can add, really. I think he's a great signing. He's obviously a great player. He's highly sought after. The fact that he's going for this amount of money and two of the biggest clubs are vying for his signature just goes to show what he can bring to a side that signs him. Brighton will just find some other random kid from South America they'll sell for £80 million this time next year. So they'll probably be fine out of it. It does potentially make the Brighton defensive assets going into week one a little bit weaker as well, though. I think that's probably worth mentioning. Although saying that they do have Luton at home. So if there was ever a week that they'll probably be okay, it will be this week. It just depends how they shift around, because obviously that means that they've lost two of their best midfielders to Liverpool in one transfer window. So it's obviously not great news for them. But like I say, they'll probably be fine. Their scouting network's fantastic. Well, I do want to ask you, though, because you mentioned it, and I'm currently in a situation where I've got one of them. Where do you see that starting slot up front going for Liverpool this weekend?
So my heart says Darwin, my head says Jota. And don't get me wrong, I love Jota. Darwin's got the number 9. He was great but Jota started up front as a number 9 in the last 2 preseason games. Darwin has started everyone before that and was scoring goals for fun. But then Jota in the last 2 scored like 3 and 2. So it's quite literally a 50-50. And maybe Klopp just plays Gakpo there, which I think the way the players we've got now would suit a Darwin Núñez more. But there's 3 players essentially vying for that position. Now, I think the way that we play, I think it would suit a Jota or a Darwin. But yeah, my heart says Darwin, but I can't tell.
Yeah, that worries me, because I've currently got Darwin sat in there thinking that having the preseason form that he had, it was a great bargain.
No, wait till Darwin Núñez. I think Liverpool's fixtures from game week 2 go great. So I have enough money in the bank to move to him. But the first game against Chelsea, it's a bit like, you're not going to miss out on that much, are you, if you wait a week?
Famous last words. It's it's just like it. And we've spoken about this, and I said this earlier, the forward options are so weak this year. I just don't know who to bring into that slot in the first couple of weeks. So I'm just going to have to, like you say, wait and see.
Yeah. A couple of other transfers or potential transfers we should chat about involving your beloved West Ham. So first, the incomings, so Maguire and James Ward-Prowse, and what do you think that will mean for West Ham and West Ham assets? And after that, I want you to give me some insights into the potential outgoing Lucas Paqueta and what that will mean for West Ham and for Man City assets.
So I think, first of all, obviously the one we have already signed is Edson Alvarez. That was confirmed by the club yesterday. I think it's a very good replacement. He's obviously not going to come in and be the Declan Rice that we had last season, but he's a very capable player to come in and play in that defensive midfield role. I think that €35 million, so it's a good use of some of that Rice money. Whether or not he'll slot straight into the team this weekend, I'm not so sure, because obviously he hasn't really had a chance to train, and we'll have one training session today, and then we play tomorrow. So it might be a case of he comes in later. But I think that obviously improves our defensive potential. Not that I'm going to be rushing to bring any West Ham defenders in, apart from maybe one who obviously you mentioned is Harry Maguire when he comes in. So it sounds as though James Ward-Prowse will be having his medical today. That sounds like it's all pretty much wrapped up. But it's a race against time as to whether he could be registered in time to potentially be in the squad at the weekend. And Harry Maguire is the last one. Looks like that will probably be confirmed at some point over the weekend. Just the thought of James Ward-Prowse whipping in balls for Harry Maguire to just charge at makes me a little bit horny. So yeah, that is two potentially very good signings.
The thing is, though, he's, for all his size and the size of his head, he's so shit in the box at scoring headed goals.
But he's got James Ward-Prowse now.
Yeah, but as we found out to our detriment in every game in the World Cup, Harry Maguire does not score headers. He just doesn't.
Yeah, but he did like once in the 2018 World Cup, so that's why we just bank on it ever since. But I'm going to be putting fivers on him every game to score a header, and I'm going to have profit at the end of the season. Just you watch.
That is not using our betting fund. Absolutely. Maybe
you're going to regret that.
Maybe once or twice. We'll see.
It does mean that we're probably going to be seeing West Ham play a back five with Aguirre, Zuma, and Maguire as the three, which is a fairly solid back three, and probably Emerson on the left and someone on the right, because we've got Kara, we've got Soufal, and we've got Johnson, and Johnson can play on the left as well. So we've got that's the problem. We've got like 5 options across the wing back slots when you've got Emerson, Cresswell, Johnson, Soufal, and Kara. It just don't know who's going to start in those 2 spots. I'd imagine Emerson on the left is more of your natural wing back, but the right is a bit more tricky. And obviously the other one you mentioned, the potential Paqueta going to Man City. It came as a bit of a surprise when I saw that news coming out on sort of Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Obviously, I've sort of sung his praises quite highly on this podcast over the last year. I think he's a fantastic player. He took his time to really grow into it at West Ham, but in the last sort of 2-3 months of the season, I think he really shone. It will be a real shame if we lose him, but we're not the sort of club that can stand in the way of a player if they want to go to Man City. And the rumour of a bid of about 110 million euros yesterday. No formal bid submitted yet by all accounts, but if he does go, it'll be a big hurt to West Ham. But it'll be interesting to see how City would line up with him if he goes straight into their starting 11. My opinion is he'd probably be in that deeper role alongside Rodri. But they have also just signed Kovacic, so it'll be a bit of a rotation thing there. So it'll be interesting to see what Pep would do. Another option on Pep Roulette.
Yeah. If he goes to Man City and lines up in that deeper role, or say he comes in as the Bernardo Silva replacement, and Bernardo Silva goes finally after trying to every bloody summer. Bernardo Silva finally goes. Does that impact Erling Haaland? Does that make him better? Does it keep him about the same? What's your opinion there?
I think it doesn't really make any difference. It's just another spoke on the wheel of Man City. Like, he's a good creative player, Paqueta. He can make things happen. He got the assist for the winner in the Europa Conference League final, but it's not going to make much difference, is it? They're City. You know what you're getting with Haaland, at least. Yeah. He's just going to be there and he'll be ready to get on the end of anything.
Yeah, for sure. Shall then we jump into our teams and how we're lining up on FPL for this year, for the start of the season? I'll share my screen and go through mine first because it's basically locked in. So can you see that on the screen? Wonderful. So in goal, I've gone for Johnston from Crystal Palace. At Crystal Palace, Guatia is basically throwing a strop and refusing to train. So Johnston is the number one there at the moment. 4.5 million, decent opening fixtures for a good defensive side in Crystal Palace. I think of the 4.5 million goalkeepers, he's probably the best one. Backup goalkeeper, I've gone for Turner because he's going to be starting for Nottingham Forest versus Areola, who may not be starting for West Ham. We don't know. I mean, Areola is likely to, but I think Turner's the lock-in for starting for Nottingham Forest, and it looks like for the whole season as well, because Dean Henderson may not be moving over. In defence, Estupinian is more of a me being defensive pick. Highest owned defender, 3 great opening fixtures. If he gets a clean sheet and an assist against Luton, for example, and I don't have him, that will put me on the back foot. So that's a defensive pick. I like Saliba over Gabriel. I think Saliba is more likely for bonus points and actually slightly less of a goal threat. But I think in terms of FPL, we'll probably end up on slightly more points than Gabriel, but it's a coin flip. And Chilwell, because after the Liverpool game, I want him for the next 4. Midfield, Mo Salah. I'm not starting the season without Mo Salah. I'm a Liverpool fan. It's that simple. But I also think he is in the best possible team you can put together before the start of the season, or the least risky team, I could say. And I think he's he's still the best midfielder in the game. Then I've gone for Rashford with Wolves at home as the opening fixture. He's a captaincy potential as well. Then Richarlison, and as we mentioned earlier. Then I've gone for Bukayo Saka, and I've just changed Mitoma to Eze in that midfield spot. And then up front, I've got João Pedro. He's starting. He's on penalties, 5.5 million. Yes, please. And then I've got Erling Haaland with the captain's armband. Cheap players on the bench because they're all sitting at 2 points every week. That's fine. It's my first 11 I care about. The big question marks were that 6.5 midfielder slots with Eze, whether that goes back to Mitoma or it goes to Diaby. And then João Pedro being there. Do I just take him down to a 4.5 and then upgrade one of my 4.0 defenders to a 5.0 defender and go into a 4.4-4-2? That seems like it could work, but I also think that João Pedro gives the flexibility that I wouldn't otherwise have. Although, now I'm talking about it, I could move João Pedro down to a 4.5 striker, go with Haaland as my only striker, and then move Kabore out to Gabriel. So that gives me 3 Arsenal players. So that could well happen now I've said it out loud. What do you think?
Plenty of options there, aren't there? And this is the thing today. Like, I'm going to get so little work done today. It's just going to be on FPL the entire time. But yeah, you've got the options there. You've got the flexibility. I do like how João Pedro as a pick, and it's something I'm considering doing as well. And we'll see. We'll see when you see my team.
I've got some real anxiety from. Do you remember last season everyone was saying to get Pedro Neto?
Yeah. It does feel a bit like that, doesn't it?
It does feel a little bit like that. And I think Welbeck and Ferguson are both competing with João Pedro. Now, João Pedro is a record signing. But it does feel a little bit, I'm not certain on it.
And it is worth saying that Brighton are much better than Wolves were this time last year. But I do completely get the sort of the nerves around that one. I like your team overall. Obviously, the Salah thing is the big debate, and you're obviously stuck on him. I'm more against it for now, but the thing I find and will possibly happen is that wild card that everyone uses early on in the season. So if he does hit the ground running, you can always make the changes then. But interesting that you've gone with Johnston in goal. I know the Palace defence is normally fairly solid, but I don't know. I don't know if I trust him.
As a 4.5, I think he's good. And if you look at their opening 6 fixtures, it's Sheffield United away, then it's Arsenal at home. But when they've got Arsenal at home, Forest have Sheffield United at home, so I just switch the keepers. And then if you go back to Palace, it's like Brentford, Wolves, Villa, Fulham. Okay, some tricky-ish ones there, but you can see some clean sheets for Palace. And Johnson gets save points. So I'm pretty confident that he's the best 4.5 keeper.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. It's also a good shout to mention what you did about Turner being the starting keeper, because it looks as though the Henderson move might be scuppered because Tom Heaton picked up an injury in training, so Manu might be reluctant to let Henderson go now. So yeah, I like that rotation of keepers. Overall, I think it's a good squad. It's just going to be interesting to see how we fare against each other.
What do you think about the potential move João Pedro down and move Kabore or Bulldog up to Gabriel? Double
It's not a bad chat, especially with their opening run of fixtures. There's always good options for Arsenal points there in defence. Just depends how they start their season. You'd like to think they start better than they finished last season. They've got a point to prove. Rice coming in will probably improve them defensively, although in the Community Shield, he did play a little bit further forward, which was an interesting one. It is going to be a little bit of see how Arteta lines up with his side. But I think it's a good shout. It just depends where you see the more points coming from. And obviously the Pedro debate of whether he gets that starting role, which you think he would, but you never know.
I also think Brighton's opening 3 fixtures are very tasty, aren't they?
Yes.
Luton and Wolves, 2 teams likely to go down. West Ham have just lost their best player, Declan Rice.
And we never get anything against Brighton.
So those opening 3 fixtures are so nice. That's going to be my dilemma today, whether I do that. Go on then, talk us through your team.
Okay, let's have a look. Let me get that going. So, current lineup. This is subject to change today, as I say. So, current starting 11 is Verbruggen in goal. A back three of White, Estupinian, and Shaw. Similarly to you, like that Estupinian one, you just can't really not go with him with this opening few fixtures. Unfortunately, I would have liked to have been more adventurous there, but it's the sensible pick. Midfield 5 as things stand of Rashford, Saka, Richarlison, Enciso, and Luis Diaz. With Alvarez and Haaland, the City front pairing up top, and obviously Haaland with the armband because you'd just be stupid not to. The bench currently looks like Areola, Darwin, Reece James, and Kabore. Again, the similar dilemmas to you, really. What do I do with Darwin? What do I like? Do I keep the money in the bank to go to him just in case, or do I just look to go somewhere else and then move the money around because I could downgrade him and upgrade one of my midfielders? Or I'm still sort of toying with the Trent thing now with the signing of Caicedo. Do I move money around to get to that? I'm also not 100% convinced on Alvarez. So that's another thing I'm thinking about, and whether he does start. De Bruyne came back in the Community Shield and came on for Alvarez in that 10 role. So yeah, I've got a lot of thinking to do today and probably a lot of panicking to do because I will be out when the deadline hits. And I said this to you week or last week. I'm really looking forward to that, like the team news leaking about 10 minutes before the deadline and the FPL servers crashing. That is going to be great fun.
Yeah, that's going to be hilarious. Alvarez, I really like as a pick. But the others, I mean, I like your team. I just think in that forward spot, having Darwin there, if you've got him in the team, he needs to be starting. I'd probably be starting him over Enciso for sure. I don't think Enciso is nailed down.
I don't know. He's just been given the number. Is it the number 7 shirt?
Has he?
Yeah, he's. So I think he's a starter, but I'll probably be proven wrong. I usually am.
I mean, I love the team. I love the makeup of it. It gives you the flexibility to play 3-5-2 or 4-3-3 relatively comfortably. So yeah, I just think your bench is a little bit too strong. I think
that's the only issue, isn't it?
The start of the season, you don't need a strong bench, so you should invest in the first 11. And that, I know you like to play with the squads, and I like to play with the team, but I think at the start of the season, let's be honest, you're not going to use your bench boost.
Watch me.
Touche, good sir.
Imagine if I bench boosted in week 1. That'd be fucking mental.
Well, it was interesting. Ben Crellin came out and said, you know what, this season there's going to be far less likely to be double game weeks. Therefore, bench boosting game week 1 is an appealing way to use your money because you know who's fit and who isn't.
Why the fuck not, eh?
I'll tell you why not, because it'll feel like a waste and you'll go the whole season regretting it.
Yeah, true. But anyway, that's how I line up. We'll, like, as things stand, I am sure that will change throughout the day. And it's worth noting that I've currently got 0.5 in the bank with that squad as well, because I just downgraded Maddison to Richarlison this morning.
Nice. Yeah, I think when you take into account or take out the premiums, there's a lot of money. Are you tempted by Trent at all now Caicedo's gone?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. It'll involve a lot of moving around now to get him in. But like you, I think it's going to be, because Caicedo's not going to play this weekend, let's be honest. That's not going to happen. So I think it's a matter of leaving him out for now. And then, like you say, in game week 3, when everyone's got 2 transfers in the bank, or even when you hit that first wild card, depending on how they start, when he starts playing, Caicedo, that is, then trying to fit him in then. But I don't think there's a need to get him. If you haven't got him in now, I don't think there's a need to get him in for this weekend.
I agree. And actually, I think the way I will be doing it is I won't be making a transfer after game week 1. And then in game week 2, I will be having 2 free transfers, and I'll be happy to take a -4 as well. So I can. It's almost like a mini wildcard where I can fix any mistakes I made in the opening. But so that's how I'll be lining up. We have something else to consider on this podcast as well, and that is that we are going to once again do a joint team on FPL. Now, I think it's also worth noting that we'll be setting up a little league with me, you, and our joint team in a head-to-head league and seeing how we do. So, are you ready? And we can set that live on stream. And this team is going to have the advantage of us knowing what transfers have happened. So, shall we start with goalkeepers?
How about we just do a pick each? Whatever
Okay.
you fancy. You can start.
Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I knew that was going to be the first pick.
He was my first pick on draft as well. So I'm now feeling very smug about
that. I'll just put Haaland in there because I'm not a side.
Hurricane. So yeah. On that basis, I think Richarlison.
I'll just search because that is going to be much quicker. Now. Where do I go from here? Do we try and get Haaland, Salah, and Trent in?
I mean, that would mean we give up Rashford most likely or Saka. So
yeah,
that's a big strategy decision. So do we?
What a dilemma.
We would essentially be giving up Rashford / Bruno or Bukayo Saka. I think Saka is a must-have for me.
Yeah.
I think with Trent, we can get away with not having Salah, personally.
This is my only way of getting in on the Salah train, though, because I'm not going to
we'll do it. Go on, we'll do it.
But let's see how we can get on with it, and then if we decide it's just not there and it's not good enough, we'll scrap it and change him at the end.
Yeah. So my one is Saka.
All right. In that case, I'm going to look for some cheapos here at this point. Let's have a look at goalkeepers.
Yeah, I think we've got to go 4.5s, in which case we can probably be looking at, if you're looking at 4.5, or we could go really cheap, rotating 4 million goalkeepers, Turner and Areola.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
So the thinking here is the goalkeeper position is the lowest scoring position. Let's just go as cheap as we can so we can reinvest in the rest of the team.
Let's do it.
I think that's a bit rogue.
Let's just get Turner in as well because that is done. I'll let you have this next pick.
Reece James.
Yes.
Come on. Richarlison, James. This is the FPL CRB dreams of.
This is going to be awful, isn't it? Let's fill another forward spot, shall we? And let's go with. Oh, who do I go with here?
I think we've just got to go really cheap here, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a second one at like 6 or 6.5, but after that, we've just got to go super cheap.
Did you say Dom Solanke?
No, we're not having Dom Solanke in this team.
That is awful. Yeah. This is what I mean. There's just so few good options.
Can I make a suggestion
in this forward role?
What about Balogun?
Is he going to start?
Is he going to West Ham?
I don't think so.
Oh, then no. I was hoping he was going to West Ham.
I think they want too much money for him. So we are pulling out just like your dad should have. I'm disgusted that I'm tempted by my boy Edouard.
There's so few options. But yeah, he's been good in pre-season.
Who? Sorry,
Mateta.
Yeah, that's the only thing with the Palace forwards. You've got the rotation risks. I just can't stand this. Why are there no good options? I'm gonna go with your boy, João Pedro.
Yeah, I think he's the obvious one. Lukaku.
Over to you, Tom.
So I think let's get some 4.5 defenders in there, or even we could choose to go quite cheap at the back. Or actually, no, we need a part of the Arsenal defense. So Gabriel or Saliba.
It's your pick.
Let's go Saliba because everyone else is going Gabriel, and I prefer Saliba.
And he's got a better song.
He has the best song. Maybe we should base it on songs.
No. Do we have to have a Stupinian?
I think so. Just this has got to be. We've got to treat this semi-seriously, right?
Yeah.
And then as a last defender, let's just go Kabore or Bulldog. Actually, I prefer. But yeah. So now I've got 17 million for 3 players. So 4.5 forward. I'm happy to rule out using that third forward. So Mbama.
I think he's the obvious one. West Ham have lost the striker. We haven't signed any more. I know we've got Antonio Ings, but he's got minutes in pre-season and he scored in pre-season. So I think he's the obvious one for me.
Yeah, I agree. How much have we got left? 12.5. So we can go for we could go for a 7 or we're at 7.5 we could go for. So do you want to go Luis Diaz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anyone better?
Not
I don't think so.
5 range. I don't think so. What's
yeah, I think you're probably right.
Trossard we could go for. That would be an interesting pick. Kai Havertz.
No.
Yeah, let's go Luis Diaz.
I was going to put Rice in. That'd been funny.
And then 5 million. Are there any midfielders at 5 million we'd want? Probably not. We could actually just go for a cheapo and then look to upgrade Bulldog to a 4.5 and go big at the back.
I don't think there is anyone, is there really? Yeah. Oliver Skip.
Yeah, that when you're looking at Oliver Skip, you might as well just go as cheap as possible.
Edson Alvarez.
There you go. Actually, yeah, so we're not going to have 3 West Ham, are we? If he's 4.5.
Yeah, it's 5.
Oh, no, it's not that. A cheapo who's going to get us 2 points every week.
Is there anyone? There's got to be
someone at Luton or Burnley or something. There's going to be.
Nakamba. I know he's probably going to start in that.
The Chelsea one. Whatever. Just pick a random one. They're going to be third sub anyway, right? Cool.
Marvelous Nakamba. Right. So there we got 0.5 in the back. So do you want to upgrade Bulldog?
Yeah, right. Let's upgrade Bulldog. Because then we can play 5 across the back, which, is in tune with how we like to play. Terribly.
Yeah.
So as our 4.5.
Botman or Burn?
Not Burn because they've just signed Livramento to compete in that.
Botman?
I think Botman.
Or do we want to go?
Or we could go Pau Torres or Matty Cash.
Ashley Young?
No. Maybe not Matty Cash, actually, because when Moreno comes back, he's competing. I think Pau Torres or Tyrone Mings or Botman. Botman's probably the most nailed out of the 3, but I think Aston Villa could be more exciting to own than Newcastle.
Let's just look at their first few fixtures. That's not bad.
Newcastle have horrible first 5, but then it gets better after that. But also, we don't want to book in a
Let's go with Mings.
Solid Mings. Cool. So why don't you read out what it looks like? All team names.
Big at the back. Favourite club, Brighton.
Yes.
So, This is where. Who do we start? So let's get rid of. Do any of these need to come out? James for Mings, or do we just leave him in?
I think we leave him in. Mings has got a tough game as well, and also Liverpool without Caicedo won't be great in the defensive aspect. And
yeah, I think that's pretty right.
I've just created a league for us. It's a nice head-to-head league, so I will pop that in the chat for you right now, and you can jump in it.
Well, hey. So yeah, the starting 11 that we have. Are we sticking with Areola? I assume because Forest have got
we go with
Arsenal,
Areola.
and if he doesn't play, then Turner comes in anyway.
Yeah.
So Areola in goal, a back four: Trent Alexander-Arnold, Reece James, William Saliba, and Pervis Estupiñán. A midfield four of Richarlison, Salah, Saka, and Diaz, and then Haaland and João Pedro up top with Turner, Mings, Nakamba, and Mubama on the bench. Haaland obviously with the armband, and I've just put the vice on Salah. It could be Saka, but let's be honest, Haaland's going to play anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Correct. That sounds right.
That is our joint team.
Do we want to be rogue and put the armband on Saka?
No,
it's probably too early to be rogue, isn't it? Yeah, that works for me. That's exciting, and I've just put the league code. Make sure you join that as well on your normal thing, because then it's our little head-to-head league for the year. We are also this season going to be doing a betting fund. So we both put £25 into a betting fund. We've got a nice spreadsheet that Matt's going to do lots of formulas for over the next few hours. And then we're going to see what we can do with 50 quid and see if we can make it last for the whole season. This is mainly going to go towards Bet365 Super Boosts, but there will be quite a few accumulators in there as well, and maybe some Harry Maguire header bets.
Definitely some Harry Maguire header bets. And yeah, first, Bet365 released a tasty boost for tonight with City to win at evens with a max £10 stake. So we'll obviously be jumping on that because it was about 1-3 before the boosted odds. So that is just a no-brainer.
I agree. Oh, it's going to be so exciting. I'm terrified. Today is going to be a day of tinkering and moving around. Maybe I move everything to get trends in. Maybe I don't. Who knows? But otherwise, good luck for the season, everyone. We will
just worth mentioning that it says apparently Harry Kane is waiting for permission to fly to Germany. So he isn't on his way yet, but it will be happening.
Yeah, Harry Kane's gone. It's going to be hilarious. Good luck, everyone. Season kicks off today. We'll be back next week to decompress and probably cry because we never have a good game week one. But otherwise, good luck, enjoy, and remember, it's just a game.
It's not a game, it's life. Also, remember, you can find us on Twitter at Big at the Back. I'm at Higgins92. Tom is at Tom Madden92. I'm still not ready, Tom. I'm still not ready.
Nor am I, and I don't think we ever will be.
No. Have a good one, guys, and hopefully enjoy the opening weekend of the Premier League season.